Hello, everybody. Join us now for another Brooklyn ball game.
Listen, all you New Yorkers, there's a rumor going round that some of you good people want to leave this town. Well, you better consult with
Yes, sir. Post is back to bring you the Dodgers again as they take on the New York Giants in the second of this three-game series here at Ebbets Field, Brooklyn, USA. This is the old redhead, Red Barber, and Connie Dessel will be along in the middle of the ball game, and between us, we'll take care of the play-by-play.
Jackie Robinson, I think, was simply the most important man to come along at the right time, at the right place, and the right time. If it wasn't for Jackie, you wouldn't see black and Latino ball players making the kind of money, getting the kind of exposure that they're getting nowadays.
What I know about Jackie Robinson, he was the first African-American player in the major leagues. He went through a lot of hardship. Everyone kept doing him. They give him death threats and stuff. I guess the thing that I really respect most about him was that he was never scared. He just never gave up. No matter what people said about him, he came out there and played his hardest every single day.
In Brooklyn, baseball isn't a game, it's your birthright. And we feel that Jackie is a part of our blood. We're proud of him. We're still heartbroken from the day the Dodgers left, and we're thrilled to have just the semblance of it back here today. And I'm just filled with great emotion, and I'm thrilled today.
As a child, this man took it for me. Personally, I took it personally when Jackie stole a base. I stole a base. I took it personally when they called him a nigger. Not today's nigger that you hear on records. Not the nigger that's nigga. But this is a nigger calling where you better not turn the lights on and put your children under the bed, because they're coming, nigger. Jackie Robinson.
Cleveland got Larry Doby, Brooklyn's got Jackie Robinson. Now the pitcher got scared, let Jackie walk. He stole second and third and come home on a walk. Hooray, hooray, time has really come. Cleveland got Larry Doby, Brooklyn's got Jackie Robinson. Doby in the outfield, letting nothing get by. Jackie hit him so safe, you swear the ball had eyes. Hey, hooray, time has really come. Cleveland got Larry Doby, Brooklyn's got Jackie Robinson. Everybody.
I recognized she was a pretty girl, but I had no idea she would become the most important girl in my life. I knew that Ray was the girl for me because of her sincere and outspoken interest in my career, and her concern for me as a person. She wasn't the type to moon up a guy and agree with everything he said and tell him how great he was. She felt she had the right and the duty to be honest about your shortcomings as well as your good points. It didn't take Ray long to see that I was quick to react to anything I considered unjust. I was quick to sense an injustice or a slur, and when trouble came looking for me, I never backed down. This disposition had its roots, I think, in my boyhood days in Pasadena, when I became aware that there were some people who wanted to deny you a chance or even a meal. It went back to my resolve that no matter what the consequences, I was never going to be anybody's doormat. It wasn't until later that I found out there was a way to take an injustice without being a coward. That's what Ray began to teach me. I'm sure I'd heard such advice before, but never from anyone who had the power to calm me down and cool me off as she could.
In 1942, Robinson was drafted into the Army. He served in a segregated unit based in Kansas. Jackie went on to gain an officer's rank of second lieutenant, despite resistance from an Army reluctant to commission men of color. Robinson was later court-martialed and then acquitted on charges of insubordination for refusing to move to the back of a segregated military bus. Rosa Parks would echo his stance against Jim Crow over a decade later. Jackie received an honorable discharge in 1944. With little gainful opportunities available for professional African American athletes, he went on to join the Negro Leagues in 1945 as a Kansas City Monarch. Owners such as Andrew Root Foster helped turn Negro baseball into the largest owned black business in the country.
Negro League baseball was so popular in the black world that women came to the ballpark dressed up every single day like they were going to church on Sunday. It was a show.
The idea of a breakthrough in organized baseball didn't originate with Mr. Rickey. Exclusion of the Negro from America's national pastime was under a barrage of attack. Indeed, pressure had become so intense in some northern cities, the issue had become a political one. In Boston, a city councilman, Isidore Muchnick, who had a large Negro constituency, had threatened to pass a bill banning Sunday baseball unless the Red Sox hired a Negro player. While I was with the Monarchs, Wendell Smith, then sports editor of the Pittsburgh Courier, an influential Negro paper, arranged for two other players from the Negro League, Sam Jethro of the Cleveland Buckeyes and Marvin Williams of the Philadelphia Stars, and me to go to the tryout. The Boston club patted us on the back and said we made a good showing, gave us application cards to fill out, and that was that. Honestly, we felt that they had simply gone through the motions of giving Negroes a chance in order to avoid further criticism.
I think it's good that he played and opened up baseball to everybody. As you see now, you have the African American players and you have the Latin players. It's not just the white farm boys who played previously. You know, before 1947, with the exception of a couple of African Americans in the 1880s, I think at least one of them played on the Brooklyn team before the Dodgers, Spiders, something or other. There weren't black players, and you had the two leagues, the Negro League and the Major Leagues, which is basically all white players. And it's better now that they have it all spread out, that, you know, the best players play.
He was the right man at the right time. I don't think, I can't think of too many players that could have survived and thrived under conditions that he had to endure. Ranch Rickey, in that sense, you have to admit he was probably a genius. Well, I don't know if I say a genius, but he had the insight to know that Jackie was a player that could take what he, because I mean, he went through a lot. He did have some help on the Dodgers, Pee Wee Reese. You know, it was the right team at the right time.
The pressure was on in Brooklyn, too. In spring of 1945, Ranch Rickey called a press conference and announced that he was forming a new Negro League. Of course, no one believed him. It was August of 1945. My team, the Kansas City Monarchs, was in Chicago playing the Windy City American Giants.
Mr. Rickey called me on Monday and he said, I want you to go to Chicago and see a game Friday night. Kansas City Monarchs and the Lincoln Giants. Paying particular attention to a shortstop named Robinson, particularly his arm. Now he said, tell him who sent you and what you want to know, what you want to see.
Robinson. Jackie Robinson. You Jackie Robinson? I'm Clyde Sukeforth. I'm with the Brooklyn organization of the Dodgers. I'd like to talk to you after the game.
I said to him, talked to him a long time. I said, I probably won't stay till the game's over, so how about meeting me down to the hotel? I was staying in the Stevens Hotel after the game. And maybe we can work out something.
On the morning of August 28, 1945, when Clyde Sukeforth and I walked into Mr. Ricky's office, the baseball magnate rose from his leather swivel chair, stuck out his hand in greeting, and said, "The truth is, you're not here as a candidate for the Brooklyn Brown Dodgers. I sent for you because I'm interested in you becoming a candidate for the Brooklyn National League Club." There it was, the realization of a dream I'd been pushing out of my mind because I simply couldn't believe it would ever come true. Mr. Ricky began to predict the kind of problems I would face, having vicious beanballs thrown at me, being attacked physically, being called dirty race-baiting names. He told me I'd have to permit all this to happen and not to lose my temper. I must never lose sight of my goal.
Ricky told him, they said, all my life I've been looking for a great colored ball player. And he said, I have some reason to believe that you might be that man. And he said, what I need is more than a great ball player. I need a man that'll take insults, abuse, in other words, turn the other cheek. And he said, I don't know whether you could do that or not. And Robinson didn't answer it right quick. And that impressed Ricky, I knew.
What was this white man asking of me now? Was he calling upon me to sell my manhood, my inbred militancy, for some fame and money that may come? Mr. Ricky, are you looking for a Negro who's afraid to fight back? I'm looking for a ball player, Jackie, with guts enough not to fight back.
Jackie Robinson had an impact on the racist structure of this country. What he did was beyond being an athlete playing baseball. He challenged the racism that's entrenched in this nation and said to this country that we have to be recognized as a people. And he was more than a ball player. He was a civil rights activist. And he didn't just break the color line, he put a dent into racism, something that all of us will remember him for. A lot of people have to give credit to Jackie Robinson for their work in politics, for their work in medicine, law, you name it, because he broke that color barrier.
When he signed, to me, it was a great thing and says what we can do and accomplish. And it's up to us to strive to better things and overcome the things that we consider that we could not do.
I had to do it because success would mean so much to the kids coming up behind me. I wanted them to be able to feel the color of their skin wouldn't hamper their dreams of making it into the majors. I had to do it because of my mother and the rest of my family, because of Ray, the girl I wanted to marry. Finally, to be perfectly honest, I had to do it for myself. I will admit that following through on my decision to turn the other cheek was the most difficult task I'd ever have to face. It wasn't easy to stifle my instinct to retaliate, strike back, protest, but I was constantly aware that if I could take it, I could prove that a Negro could make it in the major leagues. That would be good for my race, but also good for the game of baseball. When I walked out of Mr. Ricky's office, I had an agreement to sign a contract with a $3,000 bonus and a $600 a month salary to play ball with the Montreal Royals. Throughout all these first days of trial and error, I was doing my best to keep my mind removed from the racial implications of my situation. Yet I couldn't forget how Ray and I were treated in Florida. Forced out of Sanford, we had to be lodged in separate Negro housing in both Sanford and in Daytona. There were times where I brooded over the price one had to pay because of skin color, but one of the things that helped me through my depression was the reaction of my own people in Sanford and in Daytona Beach. They turned out in droves to watch the games, shouted encouraging words, beamed with pride. I couldn't let them down. I had to justify their faith. The people of Montreal were wonderful. They really made us feel at home. We had no housing problem, and we got a charming apartment.
Robinson's season with the Royals blossomed despite initial racial tensions. Jackie was chased by his adoring fans, both black and white, to his departing train as he left the Royals for Brooklyn.
In 1947, Jackie Robinson played his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. The country was excited and the kids in the neighborhood were talking. This is the excitement that we had when Jackie Robinson first came. He went through college, and now this is the neighborhood you see.
What's so good about Jackie Robinson anyway?
Listen, he broke the color barrier. Think about it, because he's the only black person on the all-white team.
And you think he's gonna get somewhere?
Of course, I was trying to talk
Whatever,
to him in college.
whatever. I personally do not think that a black man on an all-white baseball team is gonna get anywhere.
Of course he is.
It's not.
He's Jackie Robinson.
I saw his first game in 1947 in Ebbets Field. It was the most exciting thing that ever happened in sports in my lifetime. I would say it was even more powerful than when we won the World Series in '55. Here was something that somebody basically took a chance on, and I don't think that Branch Rickey really did this to improve the team, but he basically did this to improve the game, and the chance worked. And all of a sudden, within 3 days, it was, well, I don't know, we're going to do this. They loved him. Jackie had a very rough first year.
Less than a week after I joined the Brooklyn club, I played in my first game against the Braves. I didn't do well that day, and the sellout crowd at Ebbets Field was disappointed. I know I was. Ironically, the first big ordeal I was put through in the majors wasn't the work of a Deep South team. When the Phillies came to Ebbets Field, I went to bat in the first inning. As I started towards home plate, members of Ben Chapman's team began shouting insults. "Go back to the bushes, black boy. Hey, nigga, go back to where you came from. They're waiting for you in the jungle. We don't want you here, black boy." This was the kind of thing Mr. Rickey had foreseen, so I was prepared. Though I was angry, I wasn't going to let him get the best of me. Ironically, as these little compliments increased, my teammates got angry. They got angry at the Philly bullies. Ed Stanky, our second baseman, called timeout, ran over to the base I was on and said, "Don't let these bums get you down."
I remember even seeing him outside the stadium, always giving autographs to all the kids, no matter what.
I remember going to a St. Louis Cardinals baseball game in 1951, and we were playing the Brooklyn Dodgers, the much hated Brooklyn Dodgers, and some man got on first base, and the right field bleachers, we were sitting behind third base, the right field bleachers, everybody started yelling, "Go, Jackie, go! Go, Jackie, go!" And I turned to my dad and said, "What's going on here? Those people are rooting for the Brooklyn Dodgers. You can't do that in St. Louis. This is crazy." And of course, on the second pitch, Jackie took off, stole second base. The catcher was Joe Garagiola. I'll never forget it. He threw the ball right into center field, and Robinson never stopped. He swept around second base, slid into third base right in front of me. Right field bleachers went crazy. And that had a huge impact on my life, because I suddenly realized for the first time there was something bigger than baseball in America, that would make people in St. Louis root for a team in Brooklyn. And that had a powerful impact on me and on thousands and thousands of other boys and girls all over America.
Now, it was 1947. This was a big year, apparently, for my parents and so forth. I was just 12 years old, so I didn't realize the significance at the time. But it was all in all the headline. Jackie Robinson had been hired for the Brooklyn Dodgers. However, when he came to town, because of the prejudice, he could not stay with the team in the hotels. So fortunately, he came to live at a neighbor's house 2 doors from ours. This was the summer of '47. And at that time, there were very few cars on the street. And that's where we played. We played stickball in the street with the boys. We played football. We played whatever. We were just about the only 2 girls because the other parents didn't allow their girls to play. So anyways, what we didn't realize was that we were sitting out on the stoop one Sunday, my sister and I, doing our girly thing, just watching the crowd go by. And we were sitting there just watching when all of a sudden, this guy comes over to us from 2 doors away and he says, "Hi, I'm Jackie Robinson. And I've been watching you girls play ball. And if you don't mind, I'd like to show you how to hold the bat and throw the ball." And I said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Robinson, I can't, because it's my father's rule that we have to sit on the stoop and act like girls." And my sister, who was 9, she said, "Daddy's not home, you never know. He was at work." So I said, "Okay." So he went back to his house and he came out with his bat and his ball. And we went out to the street and he showed me how to hold the bat and he showed my sister how to grip the ball. And that's what we were doing out there. She was throwing the ball and I was swinging. And then I looked up and I saw my father coming down the street. My heart stopped because remember, I'm the oldest one responsible and I know you don't break his rules. And sure enough, as he came up, he said, "What are you girls doing out here?" And before I could say anything, Jackie Robinson said, "Oh, Mr. Pankey, you know I'm Jackie Robinson, pleased to meet you, but it's not their fault. I asked them to do this, and they agreed." And my father, "Calm down, Jackie Robinson, he's the big star. I mean, the first minority on the Dodgers of all teams, their favorite team." So he said, "Okay, Jackie, but would you mind if I went in the house and got a camera and took a picture of you with my girls?" And Jackie said, "Oh, Mr. Pankey, I'd love to do that, but the organization has said that I am not to do any media, nothing, no interviews, nothing. And so what I will do, though, I will let you take a picture of your girls with my ball and my bat." And that's the picture that they took. She's throwing the ball, and I'm facing the camera with the bat up, hitting the ball. So then my father shook his hand, and Jackie went back his way. My father said, "Girls, come in the house." I knew it was not the end. But it wasn't as bad as it would have could have been because Jackie Robinson had intervened. But he said to us, he said to me, "Buddy, you know the rules. From now on, you ought to follow the rules. And if any strangers come up to you, you're to go inside." But fortunately, this was not a stranger. This was a celebrity.
I don't know if I could have made it through such a tense situation without the help of 2 people. The 2 people, of course, were Branch Rickey and, of course, my wife, Ray. They were always with me. Mr. Rickey's words were always with me. "Turn the other cheek, Jackie." And as for Ray, she was superb from the beginning. Her supportive words, the way she kissed me. Much of my strength came from my own teammates. Pee Wee Reese's support of me was particularly significant because, as I mentioned, when I first joined the Montreal Royals as a shortstop, a sports writer hinted that I was after Reese's job. I'll always be grateful that not only was there enough room in baseball for both Pee Wee Reese and Jackie Robinson, but also that he was my teammate and partner on the field. I needed that kind of help. There were viciously pitched balls aimed at my head. There were letters containing threats to hurt my wife, kill me, even our baby son, Jackie Jr. There were times when I felt deeply sorry for myself. Times when I was humiliated in front of my wife and my child. There were times where I wondered whether being the first Negro in the majors was going to be worth the reward. There were times when I was physically and mentally whipped, and sometimes that reflected out onto the field. I could be mediocre, or just good, but I had to be great.
I remember a thing about my father and my godfather and my uncle. They spent the entire game with this big smile on their faces, and they never smiled. I remember that more than anything in the world. At 7 years old, you don't really understand the situation. I just remember their reaction. And I never forgot that game. I wish everybody knew who Jackie Robinson really is. A
lot of folks don't.
You mentioned Jackie Robinson in this city. He's an icon, absolute icon.
Jackie Robinson is the first African American to play baseball.
When Jackie Robinson took that field some 60 years or so ago now, he did what was right but also hard. He did what was good and noble but also brave. And he changed not only the baseball field but America forever. As he earned a tremendous record in baseball, he also earned the respect of every right-thinking American and literally people around the world.
Jackie Robinson is a special place in my heart. Former Army officer, everything that he had to go through. We learned a lot from him. And a big tribute. Brooklyn guy, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm very proud to be associated with Jackie Robinson.
My father was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. That's how I became immersed in baseball. I can remember as a 5 or 6-year-old watching Brooklyn Dodger games from Ebbets Field. And the first time in my life I saw my father cry was when the Dodgers left Brooklyn. And I didn't understand at that time, because I was like 5 years old, what the importance of it was. But I knew something momentous was happening. I remember just looking at my father and going, wow, Dad, this must really be heavy, Of course, I came to understand years later just what, the importance of it was.
I was just a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old celebrating him. He was just a hero to me. That's what he was. And I really feel that I'm blessed in my life, that I'm 60 and lived in Brooklyn all my life, and I was there to witness the excitement that Brooklyn Dodgers represented.
The whole story is a parallel story between Jackie and all the barriers he faced and all the times that he contained himself, but all the times that he pushed. And then when I got out of baseball after 9 seasons with Jackie, watching him and learning all those things, my son was born, my 4th child, Down syndrome. He was not accepted by society either. And so I watched my son go through some of the similar experiences of rejection or not acceptance that Jackie did. So what I learned from Jackie, I could apply to my experience with my son Jimmy. They both were successful. My son Jimmy is now 45. He's in Special Olympics. He's been to school. He has a job at Applebee's restaurant, and he's a happy kid. And society has accepted both Jackie and my son Jimmy.
At the end of my first season as a Dodger, I played in 151 games, scored 125 runs, hit safely 175 times, batted .297, hit 12 home runs, and led the team in stolen bases. The Sporting News named me Rookie of the Year.
Collectively over his career, he's had 1,516 hits. He had 137 home runs and a career lifetime batting average of .311.
Number 42 was officially retired by the Dodgers on June 4, 1972. Jackie Robinson once said, "A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives." It is up to us to honor the impact Jackie had on our lives and ensure future generations never forget his victory.
Yeah, who wrote Jackie Robinson. The year was 1947 in Evansville, Brooklyn. A man stood at first base. He was Jackie Robinson, the first black man ever to play baseball in the major leagues.
Jackie hits that ball.
When he swung his bat, the crowd went wild because he knocked that ball a solid mile. Yeah, boy.
Jazz, Jackie hits that ball.
Satchel Paige is Mella, so is Campanella, Newcomb and Dovey too. But it's a natural fact when Jackie comes to bat, the other team is through. Boy, Jackie Robinson hit that ball.